Hey everybody, Dr. Scott with Thrive Family Chiropractic. It's Whiteboard Wednesday, and I'm back at the whiteboard again for the second week in a row in a while. Kind of got away from it for a while, but we are excited for February 28th. It's a Tuesday night here in a couple weeks at 7 p.m. here in the office for the Perfect Storm Workshop. Now, what I want to talk about today is developmental milestones, kind of the more simplistic way to look at it though, because you can get overwhelmed with the amount of information out there from your pediatrician to Dr. Google, all the things, right? If you've had a baby recently, if you're going to have a baby, right? What are developmental milestones? What should I be looking for? What are the signs that something might not be going right or that something's going wrong? Those are the things we want to focus on, right? Now that is what we do, and we specialize here in our office. Honestly, to be completely honest, probably a little bit more in depth than even your pediatrician does. So they look for the big things, right? They look for the fires. They're looking for, reflexes that aren't going well, some major things that they might need to take care of. And that's awesome and amazing. But there are what we call softer signs a lot of times that what we know from our clinical experience, but also from research and science, is that there are signs that maybe aren't as glaring as obvious that can lead you down a road that leads to things in your baby, in your toddler, and then even in your older kids or teenagers, right? It's kind of this, what we call the perfect storm, which is what the talk is about. Right? So let's go over some simple ways to look at developmental milestones. So you'll see in green here, part number one is going to be the basics, or what we call the foundation. So you have a newborn baby, right? They come into this world, and what do they need to do? The big three. They need to eat, sleep, and poop. Now you're going to see it broken down a little bit here. If they're eating well. No, that's just not just eating, right? If they're latching well, do they have reflux? Are they having a lot of gas? Are they having a lot of excessive burping, grunting, arching their back, right? That's a really big sign that they're not comfortable. Something's going on. Some sort of stress is going on in their nervous system that needs to be addressed, right? They need to poop, right? They need to poop well. If they're not pooping every day, 1 to 2 times a day, something might be going on, right? There's some stress going on in their nervous system and thus in their gastrointestinal system that we need to figure out, find out, and then correct, right? We need to get to the roots and not just give them, if they have reflux, omeprazole or something like that, that just masks what's going on, right? We're not chasing symptoms, we're chasing root causes. So remember that. Sleep and soothe, right? If you have a colicky baby, a baby that's really inconsolable or just crying all the time, seems unhappy, going back to the arching back thing, they don't want to lay on their back, there's an issue there, guys. That is not normal. We don't want to say, oh, they'll grow out of it, right? That's something you've heard me say before. If you've heard me talk at all, is you'll hear that so often is, oh, they'll grow out of that. It's just a stage. Is it though? No, a lot of times it's not. It actually leads into something else down the road. We don't want to go down that road. So, and then the third thing here is respiratory and immune. So if they're having respiratory issues with breathing, again, going back to reflux, those kind of things, you can't soothe them. I already said that, sorry, immune system function, right? They're always congested. They're always having a runny nose. They get a cold and they can't kick it. All of those are softer signs of some deeper rooted stress patterns that are going on. They have a dysregulated nervous system, dysregulated immune system. You could fill in the blank with any other system, and we need to figure out what's going on. That's what we're going to cover Tuesday night, the 28th of February, September. Jeez, I'm in the wrong month. Okay, part number 2 in the red. Movement and motor. So these milestones are probably, the motor milestones are what people are more familiar with, so we'll breeze through those. They need good control of their head and neck, right? So at first, the baby's just born and they're just floppy, right? But at certain points, they need to start lifting their head, engaging those muscles. And if they have low tone, which means they continue to just kind of be floppy and they don't gain control, or high tone, which is they're really rigid and you pick up your baby and they're just like stiffer than a board, neither one of those is a good sign, guys. There's stress in their nervous system that if that continues can lead to other things down the road that you do not want to go down, all right? So we need to look at the head and neck control, and that is one thing that we do in our office even from the day they're born. If a little newborn has trouble nursing on one side, turning their head one side or the other, or maybe has torticollis where their head is always tipped and leaning one direction, those are the kind of things you need to address now, right? Don't wait. Don't let them grow out of it. Okay, it will grow into new and different things, and we know that, experience that on a daily basis. Okay, upper torso and arms. So this is more like the tummy time stuff, right? So if you can't lay them on their tummy, if they don't start engaging their head, their neck again, and their arms, starting reaching for toys, those kind of things, if that's really delayed. And you're going to be able to see more details in the article that I'm going to link to this post. The article goes, we just don't have time to go in depth. Okay, month 1, month 3, month 7, all the things that you should be assessing and seeing in your kids that us, your pediatrician people, will look for. Okay, so read the article. They need to be able to roll over symmetrically one side to the other. Then they start needing to be able to sit up and engage and stay in a seated position without their head turning or flopping one side or the other. And then, of course, crawling and walking, right? If you have a little one that cruised through the crawling phase like too quickly and just wanted to walk right away, there's probably some reasons for that, and not good reasons, right? They're skipping these steps for a reason, and oftentimes there's an underlying motor development issue that we need to check out and take care of. Okay, guys? Hopefully that all makes sense. Part 3 is more the advanced developmental things. So things like speech and communication. Right, so starting to make sounds, starting to make words, and how many toddlers do we know that really still can't talk very much, or don't have a very big vocabulary? Well, the honest truth is, more than likely we go up these check boxes and they had a lot of these things going on from the very beginning. And that's kind of, we're starting to get into down here in this advanced milestone category of things have been going on that they would grow out of, and maybe they don't have those issues anymore, but it's turned into, those stress patterns have started to turn into these issues we see down here. And that's just neurology 101, how the body, brain, and all these connections are complicated, but yet you can make pretty simple if you actually think about it. So sensory, behavior, emotional regulation issues. So I mean, gosh, we could go down a lot of rabbit holes with that one, but if you have, a baby, a toddler, and then into school age kids who just, social, emotional, behavioral issues, they can't sit still in class, they're always in trouble, they throw tantrums, they don't get along with anybody, just all these kind of issues, then you're starting to get into sensory processing disorders and spectrum things. Like if the teachers in their school are wanting them to go to the therapist to get diagnosed with ADHD, for example, that's just so common these days. It's like there is hope and answers outside of medications and other therapies. And that is really what we're going to hone in on Tuesday night, February 28th, right? You do not have to accept that medications and the medical model is the only answer. Is it necessary? Is it needed at some times? Yeah, of course, right? Like some of those things are just amazing because they put out the fires, but there are other alternatives in the more natural, holistic world that you may not know about, you may not have ever heard about, right? And if you're watching this, pass this to friends and family who may not know. There are so many cool stories coming out of clinics like ours all over the world, all over the country, that show that there are more answers than just the traditional medical model. So keep that in mind as we talk about any kind of sensory, behavioral, spectrum, emotional dysregulation issues, right? Focus, memory, cognition. Your kids in school, they can never focus, right? That kind of goes back to that ADHD thing. We've just had some really cool stories lately of little kiddos who have really come a long way as they've worked with us. And also sometimes we refer to other providers who can, be a part of the team. And that's what we're really here for. We're here to guide you to create a team of people who can get you as an exhausted, stressed out parent, right? If you're dealing with these things with your kid, right? Doesn't matter if it's a baby, toddler, or a big kid. Speaking of big kids, this goes into those, preteen and teenage years. I was just having a conversation with a mental health therapist this morning in the office. Man, I'll tell you, it's crazy. They don't honestly know what's going on. One of the hospitals here in Lincoln, Nebraska, is so overwhelmed by kid and teenager mental health patients coming in, and it's like this influx, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. There's just so much stress, there's so much anxiety and depression and all of these mental health issues going on in this world. We've talked about that a lot in the past, but guys, honestly, you start dissecting the stories of even our teenage or young adults, and a lot of these check boxes could start being checked. And so if we can get ahead of it, the sooner the better. It's never too late, of course, but if you have a baby, if you're pregnant, if you have a toddler, you have school-age kids, get to the talk on February 28th. I keep saying the wrong thing, at 7 p.m. And I would love to be there, answer your questions, and just present to you some of the science, some of the research, and of course, a lot of stories of parents and kids that have overcome, these struggles. So we just want your kids to function at their optimal level, right? So that's what we're here for, to give you hope and answers in that realm. So check the article out below in the comment section, or the link. And then RSVP to info@thrivelincoln.com or 402-615-6022 to attend Tuesday night, February 28th at 7 p.m., the Perfect Storm workshop presented by your one and only right here. So, but we'll have our whole team there to answer questions as well. All right, guys, have a great day. Snowstorm's supposed to be coming, so we'll see. Is the third time a charm? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, guys, take care.